one of my chapters, and it's entitled In a Quandary. With the onset of summer, Mary Ella was challenged with a dilemma: to go to college or to remain home. Questions flooded her mind. How am I going to pursue my dream of being a teacher? How will I even go to college? Is it wise to break away from the tradition where most girls are not expected to attend college, but instead marry and raise a family? Mary Ellen knew in her heart that at some point she wanted marriage and a family, but she had not reached that point yet. Above anything else, she wanted to go to college first. I really want to go to college, she cried out loud. Several mornings she would lie in bed trying to decide how she would make this happen. She did not want to burden Mama and Papa because money was tight and college was costly. Eventually, she decided to confide in her parents. Mama, Papa, I want to go to college. Mama looked at Papa. Papa looked at Mama. They both looked at Mary Ellen. Daughter, Papa answered, we want you to pursue your dream, but our finances are already strained. We will try to help you in whatever little way we can. Keep faithful and call upon God. He will make a way. For several nights, Mary Ella tossed and turned in the quiet darkness of night, fraught with important concerns. The local college within walking distance would not admit her because of their racial policy. Coloreds not allowed. She would have to apply to Atlanta University, 61 miles away. Room and board would be another huge expense, since the distance was too far to commute. The expense of travel and books had to be factored into the equation too. Oh, how much easier it would be just to stay put and forget all about college. Hearing these thoughts, she quickly jumped out of bed, shocked at the thought of giving up. I will go to college, she stated loudly with much conviction in her voice, her mind, and her heart. The next few hours she pondered her situation, wondering how she could make this happen. Glancing over at her neighbor's children playing in the adjacent yard, she had a new thought. Perhaps children would want someone to read to them. Yes, I could do this and earn some money for college. Later that same day, Mary Ella found a wagon aged with peeling, faded paint on the side of the back porch. With a missing wheel and a broken handle, it looked as if it had been someone's toy, long forgotten. Her brothers patched the wagon and painted it canary yellow, while Mary Ella composed a note inviting young children to her story time. Yes, she would give mothers a break by entertaining their children for 1.5 hours per day. She would treat them to stories, games, songs, and cookies in her backyard. The following week, Mary Ella pulled her yellow wagon throughout the neighborhood, collecting young children eager for story time. At the end of the day, she would deposit the coins she earned from her storytime service into jars. She was amazed at how quickly the jars were filling up. When Mary Ella was not using her little yellow canary wagon to tote children to story time, she used it to tote her baking items from the local store. Please, sir, I would like 3 pounds of flour, 2 pounds of butter, 3 pounds of sugar, and a bottle of milk. You planning on doing a heap of bacon? Mr. Rogers asked Mary Ella. Yes, sir. I bake fresh cookies for the children in my story time. What story time? He demanded, the tone of his voice startling her. I entertain children with stories and afterwards serve them delicious cookies decorated with smiling faces. It is a fun time for us, and it helps me to earn money for college. You planning on going to college? He growled. She took a deep breath and smiled. Yes, sir. I want to study to become a teacher. Mr. Rogers raised his eyebrows and began to scowl at her. Why do you want to be a teacher? Don't you know that it takes a lot of studying and hard work? Besides, no college around here will have you, and teachers don't make much money anyway. A little over $1,000 per year for the school year, and colored teachers only make 3/4 of that compared to white teachers. I think you should cut out that silly talk about being a teacher and story time. Mr. Rogers demanded an answer again from Mary Ella. Why, for heaven's sake, would you want to be a teacher? Mr. Rogers, I like working with children, and education helps them to prepare for better lives. There are not enough teachers in Georgia who will work with little colored boys and girls, and fewer northern teachers are coming to Georgia to teach. Joe, Mr. Rogers' colored hired help overheard the conversation and uncharacteristically spoke up. Sir, my two children go to Mary Ella's story time and love it. It gives my Rebecca a chance to do something at home without the children underfoot. Mr. Rogers angrily called Joe into the back area behind the curtain. Don't you dare encourage her. Don't you realize that if you coloreds get education, coloreds will not want to work in the kitchen or do any type of domestic work? What will respectable white families do without the help of the coloreds? I can't believe the money I pay you goes to support that storytelling nonsense. Good money, just thrown away. I want you to stop it or else I will. Mary Ella did not wait to hear the threats. She quickly carried her purchases out and stacked them in the wagon. She had trouble holding on to the purchases. Her hands trembled so she hoped she would not have to speak. What would happen if someone heard the sound of anger in her voice? What if mothers stopped sending their children to story time? But the children love it, and I need the money, she lamented. Moments later, as she hurried down the street, she heard someone trying to get her attention. Young lady, yoo-hoo, young lady. Mary Ella quickly glanced back and noticed an older woman trying to catch up with her. She stopped for a moment and thought she recognized her as the lady who was also in the store. She stood and waited for her approach. With panting breath, she said, Young lady, I'll bet your cookies are delicious. Oh, would you mind selling me a couple of dozen weekly? And I know there are some other ladies in my church who would be happy to buy your cookies too. We have many social teas and make weekly visits to sickly people who are shut-ins. It would brighten their day to know they are thought of and appreciated. That afternoon, Mary Ella returned home and found Mama on her knees in her garden tending her flowers. She stooped down to tell her about the episode in Mr. Rogers' store. Mama looked softly into her eyes and explained, Mary Ella, there will be some setbacks and some unkind people who will try to hold you back. But not everyone is unkind. It is important to keep positive and not become discouraged. The next day, Joe's children were not available for storytime pickup, much to Mary Ella's disappointment. However, something amazing happened. With every child pickup, Mary Ella discovered that parents paid double the amount she usually received for story time. This continued for the remainder of the summer. Miraculously, her cooking business flourished, bringing much joy to the shut-ins and to her new customers. It was truly ashes for beauty, and that what was meant to be discouraging in Mr. Rogers' ugly attitude turned out to be beautiful, positive, and very rewarding for Mary Ella.
Thank you. Welcome to the Conversation Corner. My guest today is Miss Jill Fortune, author. The name of the book that she just read from is entitled Dreams Like Blue Morning Glories, historical fiction based on family history.